Welcome. My name is Jessica Cooper, and I have the privilege of supporting faculty and staff across the district as the district-wide Director of Talent Development. So whether you're here in attendance or watching via stream, I'm excited to welcome each of you back to what will undoubtedly be another exciting academic year. Let's give another round of applause to the NVC Chamber Singers led by Dr. Lee. This year marks a special anniversary as the Alamo College's district celebrates 80 years of opportunity. We have a wonderful program in store for you today that includes a message from the chairman of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Clint Kingsbury. But to kick off today's agenda, I would like to introduce the president of Northwest Vista College, Dr. Amy Bosley.
Good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to see you. Is this anybody's first time at the Northwest Vista College campus? We see you, a few of you. Welcome. We're so glad you're here. Did you enjoy the traffic coming in this morning? We know. This is our daily commute, though Tom Cleary had the drive of his life this morning, 2 minutes to work. We're so happy to see you. For all of you wearing purple in the crowd, I call you all my purple people. Nice to see you this morning. We're looking forward to a really fun week ahead. This is the first time that Vista has ever hosted the district convocation, so we're proud to welcome you to our beautiful campus. We appreciate so much our amazing facilities, housekeeping, grounds, security that keep our campuses beautiful. And if you take a moment just to walk on campus, I'm sure you parked and walked right in. I would invite you just to walk out on the campus and see the absolutely gorgeous grounds and the facilities that our students are going to get to enjoy on Monday. And as of this morning, because I check it obsessively, that's 21,316 students who will be here on Monday. So on behalf of all of the purple people in the crowd, we're really happy to welcome you to our home and to welcome you to this special gathering. It's such a wonderful time for each of us to come together and recommit to our shared mission. It's one that I know we all hold in common, and it's the idea that we can eliminate intergenerational poverty through the power of education and training. It's what brings me to work every day, and I know many of you feel the same, and it's wonderful to have an opportunity to be here today to recommit to that together. We also commit to our shared mission of empowering our diverse communities for success, and we're all preparing for a really great academic year. We're so grateful for our students that we get to welcome next week. We're also thrilled with so many big milestones happening throughout the district this year, starting, of course, with San Antonio College's centennial celebration. Dr. Solis, we're so excited for you and your colleagues. If you didn't know, our district is celebrating the 80th anniversary. It's also Jill Sproul's birthday, and I told her we would just call it our 80th birthday, that we had signs and everything. We're also cheering on our neighbor to the south, Palo Alto College, and Dr. Garza on their 40th anniversary. Congratulations. And here at home, Vista has reached our 30th year. So excited about that. And it wouldn't be an a Vista or an Alamo celebration if we didn't mention that we are an Aspen Top 10 finalist college. More than anything, though, those milestones, represent thousands, literally hundreds of thousands of lives changed through the power of the Alamo colleges together in providing those opportunities for high quality, low cost education that get people to jobs that sustain themselves and their families. So we're thinking today about all of our graduates, right? People who came through these halls and through the halls of all of the colleges who are now out in our community doing wonderful things for each and every one of us and for their families. At this time, it's my pleasure to recognize the Alamo College's District Board of Trustees for their commitment to education, championing student success. We are really privileged to have such a remarkable group of trustees leading us, of course, led by Dr. Clint Kingsbury, our board chair from District 8. If you'll stand and let us recognize you. Mr. Joe Alderete Jr., our vice chair from District 1. Ms. Ana Bustamante, Secretary, she represents District 3. Ms. Gloria Ray, Assistant Secretary from District 2. Dr. Lorraine Polito from District 4. Mr. Gerald Lopez is joining us today from District 5. Please let us recognize you. Dr. Jean Sprague from District 6, Dr. Yvonne Katz from District 7, Mr. Leslie Sakanowitz from District 9, our student trustee, Josiah Rodriguez, and our VISTA alternate student trustee, Nala Knight. Will you please join me in a round of applause for these leaders? They work so hard for each and every one of us and for every one of our students every day, and I heard the paychecks are really very small, right? Like zero. So we appreciate that so much. I'm also really glad to have so many of our district friends here today. Dr. George Raley, our Vice Chancellor for Academic Success here in the front row. Ms. Debbie Gaitan, our Interim Vice Chancellor for Student Success. Welcome home, Debbie. We know you're a purple person through and through. And Dr. Tom Cleary, who has the longest title at the Alamo College's district, so please, a moment before you applaud. Vice Chancellor for Planning, Performance, and Information Systems, and Interim Vice Chancellor for Finance and Administration. Please also help me welcome my colleagues, our college presidents. Dr. Adina Williams-Lawston, President of St. Philip's College. Dr. Francisco Solis, President of San Antonio College. Dr. Robert Garza, President of Palo Alto College. And Dr. Veronica Garcia, President at Northeast Lakeview College. And just in case y'all didn't know, Lakeview crossed the 10,000 mark this weekend. We're so excited. We're excited for you, but we're excited what that means for students, so congratulations. So board members, faculty, staff, and guests, we really do welcome you to Northwest Vista College. At Vista, we believe that every connection, whether it's to a person or an idea, has the power to transform a student's journey. The connections that we're building on this campus represent the vibrant community that we've created, opening up opportunities for success at Vista, at our neighboring colleges, throughout the district, and throughout Bexar County, and beyond. This is what unites us. It's our common purpose to serve students and partner together as we work to eliminate poverty in San Antonio and the surrounding communities. So we thank you so much for being here with us today, for helping us launch a successful academic year, and for helping us all serve the thousands of students who will be on our campuses starting on Monday. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Clint Kingsbury, our board chair. Please help me welcome him to the stage.
Hey, all right. Well, thank you, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here today. I am Clint Kingsbury. I am very fortunate to serve as chair of the Alamo College's board and working with a fantastic group of trustees who are dedicated to pursuing education and showing advancement and making San Antonio and the Alamo College as a whole one of the greatest institutions in higher ed within San Antonio. So thank you all again. So, Convocation is actually one of my favorite moments of the year because it's that beginning time. It's when we have that kind of fresh start and kind of hopefully had a chance to recover over the summer. I know at my own place we are also scrambling to get everything done, and it's quite stressful, as I know some of our partners have indicated. And it just reminds me that it's the students that we're here to serve. The future that we shape, the incredible moonshot that we are aiming to achieve, and we share that across the entire Alamo College's district. And each and every single one of you plays an important role in making that happen. So this year's Convocation, of course, is special for the district. We are not only welcoming our students back at each one of our campuses, but we're also kicking off the incredible milestone of 80 years of opportunity. 8 decades of transforming lives, strengthening families, and helping our communities. When I think about 80 years of impact, I think about the thousands of stories that have been told across the campuses and make up the fabric of Alamo Colleges. They're stories of first-generation students, walking onto the campuses for the first time, not really knowing where to go, at least initially, but now, feeling like they belong and making sure that they don't want to leave, because the community here at Alamo connects them to every single one of us, whether it's through support, through engagement with our faculty, staff, administrators, and so on. And so we also have stories of our parents who have their children crossing the stage together. We've had that happen a few times where parents come and they bring their children, and we're making that generational change that impacts not just their families, but their future families as well. And that's the great, amazing things that we do here at Alamo, is making those kinds of stories, those impact. And for 80 years, we've been doing that. These stories are reminders of what we do here matters. They are reasons that we continue to push forward with passion and purpose. And we have so much momentum to carry into the new academic year. And this fall, we're projecting record enrollment, with more students than ever choosing Alamo colleges as their pathway to success. That tells us something important. Our community believes in us. They believe in the education that we provide, in the support that we give, and in the promise that we make to every student who walks through our doors. Earlier this summer, the board approved a historic $1 billion revenue budget. The budget is a commitment to investing directly into student success. And we're also putting into action the opportunities made possible by our community's overwhelming support of the $987 million bond approved earlier this year. This bond is a promise to future generations that will have access to the very best facilities, the most relevant programs, and pathways that lead to meaningful careers right here in our region. It paves the way for new academic and workforce facilities, including centers for nursing, advanced manufacturing, emerging technologies, and ensuring that we're ready to meet the needs of our rapidly growing region. And we know our work is recognized. Just last year, we received our second Malcolm Baldrige Award with the district once again making history by receiving it twice. So I also want to take a moment to highlight our bilingual Made for You campaign, Hecho para Ti. This campaign captures the heart of our mission. It tells the story of who we are and who we serve. It shows that the Alamo colleges were built for every learner. Whether you're a high school graduate beginning your journey through Alamo Promise, a working adult looking to upskill, or a student parent balancing education with family responsibilities. Our mission is, this district was made for you, and you belong here. When we think about our moonshot, we see how all of these pieces come together. Alamo Promise has removed financial barriers for thousands of students. Our support for parenting students is breaking cycles of hardship by lifting up entire families, and our growing partnerships with employers are connecting students directly to careers that not only provide good wages, but also stability and dignity. This is the work that defines us. And as we begin this academic year, I want to thank you for the role that you play in making this possible. Faculty who pour their expertise and their hearts into the classroom, staff who ensure that every student can navigate financial aid, advising, and the support services that they need. Leaders who are building innovative programs and bold partnerships that keep us moving forward. As we celebrate 80 years of opportunity, let us also look ahead to the next 80 years, where we will continue to build a district that is not only the pride of San Antonio and Bexar County, but a model for community colleges across the nation. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, thank you for your commitment and your passion and your belief in our students. Let's make this academic year one of the best ones yet. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kingsbury, for your leadership and for your service to the Alamo colleges. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the leadership of our Chancellor, Dr. Mike Flores. He couldn't be with us today. He's experiencing a milestone of his own, taking his daughter to college. So while we miss having him here, we know this is a proud moment for him and his family, and a reminder of the journeys our students and their families take. As we celebrate the Alamo College's 80th anniversary, we honor 8 decades of creating opportunity, from our earliest days to the nationally recognized system. Our work has driven by a shared belief that education transforms lives. So in that spirit, we invite you to take a look back at this remarkable journey and ahead to the future we're building together. So let's take a look.
Hello, everyone. As we celebrate our 80th anniversary, we honor a powerful legacy, 8 decades of opportunity, transformation, and impact across the communities that we proudly serve. What began in 1945 as 2 colleges has grown into a nationally recognized district of 5 colleges and 8 education and training centers. This year, we expect to serve more than 87,000 students, each student advancing our moonshot of ending poverty through education and training. Their success is our mission in action. We're also marking milestone anniversaries at 3 of our colleges. San Antonio College celebrates a centennial with 100 years. Palo Alto College marks 40 years, and Northwest Vista College turns 30. Each milestone is a reminder of the generations of students we've empowered through the power of education. Our graduates are making a difference in every corner of our region. From classrooms and clinics to businesses and boardrooms, their impact is lasting and growing. Today, we invite you to reflect on a few highlights of the journey that brought us here and to look ahead to a future full of promise. Let's take a look. Muchísimas gracias. Seguimos adelante.
So now buckle up and we're going to take a deeper discussion into how the Alamo Colleges District is impacting industry across San Antonio. So leading us in this conversation is Christy Wyatt, Associate Vice Chancellor for Communications and Engagement.
Good morning, everyone. As we talked about what would be impactful today as we welcome everyone back to campus. In 80 years of opportunity, we thought about our moonshot and how it's all about partnership and really partnering to end poverty. And so we wanted to bring our partners together to talk about the impacts that we've made, both to affirm what we've done in the past and also to look ahead to the future. And so I'd like to ask you to join me in welcoming some of our most distinguished partners to the stage this morning. If you all will come up, please. So first up we have my friend, LSA 48 co-partner here, Christopher Mammon. Christopher is the executive director of the D. Howard Foundation. He enhances aerospace education and workforce development here in San Antonio. And under his leadership, the foundation has launched unmanned aerial systems education programs, expanding educator externship, and increasing community awareness through the annual San Antonio Aviation and Aerospace Hall of Fame. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks for having me.
Also joining us today is one of our best partners in the ISD space, one of our champions for Alamo Promise, who was on the founding committee for Alamo Promise, Dr. Jeanette Ball. Dr. Jeanette is known for her commitment to equitable education. She emphasizes clear communication to strengthen relationships with students, staff, and stakeholders. In 2021, she was named the ESC 20 Superintendent of the Year. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Ball.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
And we know that we want our students to excel, and so we're really excited when they're able to transfer and continue their education. And joining us is one of our largest transfer partners, Dr. Lynn Barnes, who's the Senior Vice Provost for Strategic Enrollment at UTSA. His role focuses on increasing enrollment. Isn't that everyone's role here? Enhancing the university's ranking and expanding opportunity for all students. He has over 27 years in enrollment management, and he's committed to providing educational access to all students, especially those who believe college may not be an option. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we don't want to forget one of our best employer partners, Toyota. We have Leslie Cantu, Vice President of Administration at Toyota. She oversees human resources, environmental health and safety, accounting, and brings 18 years of experience in Tier 1 automotive manufacturing. She's recognized for leadership in inclusive hiring and community engagement, significantly contributing to local manufacturing sector's growth and diversification. Welcome, Leslie.
Thank you.
Now, as we mark this milestone, I want to ask each of you, what does 80 years of opportunity mean to you? What does it mean to you, your organization, and the people that you serve? And how has your partnership helped the Alamo colleges support our mission? So let's start off with Dr. Ball.
Thank you. What it means to me is truly a game changer. It is a generational doors that have opened for more possibilities for our students, more opportunities. There are so many individuals, whether it's students or parents, that think that these things aren't possible for them. Specifically, I speak of our Southwest ISD in the Southwest area, where we're having first-generation students come to college. Not just come to college, finish college, not just their associates, but transferring to four-year universities where it changes their lives. One of the things that we speak of all the time is breaking the cycle. And having a partnership with the Alamo colleges truly helps us break that cycle because we're able to offer so many different programs, whether it's dual credit or early college, high school, where students are able to see that this is truly a possibility for them.
Thank you. And from our higher education partner, let's talk about some of the impacts that you think that our partnership has for the community.
Yeah, well, when I think about 80 years back here, what I think about is hope. The hope that you provide students in this community to really change their lives, change their families' lives, and really see their dreams come to reality. That's what I think of. I also think of the possibilities of the future and what that means, because so much, 80 years isn't really a very long time. And to think about how much you all have accomplished together, and what that looks like going forward really inspires me and also humbles me, because a lot of our students that come to UTSA start here, in fact, 40% of them, and you all do such an amazing job caring for them, nurturing them, and helping them see their future. And so that partnership that we have, not only do we value and treasure, but we want to see it continue to grow. And so I think of hope, and I'm very optimistic about the future.
I think we are too. We're glad to be contributors to your success as well. So from the employer side, how does our partnership help the community? How does it help businesses to grow?
Yeah, absolutely. So from an employer's perspective, 80 years of opportunity to me represents decades of building pathways for people to gain new skills, grow their careers, and strengthen the communities that we serve. So in my role as Toya Tetsu and the president of the Texas Fame Alamo chapter, opportunity really is more than just filling jobs. It's about creating sustainable careers in advanced manufacturing and other opportunities that can transform lives and families for generations. I feel strongly that our partnership with Alamo Colleges has been a cornerstone in that mission. Specifically through the Texas Fame Advanced Manufacturing Technician Program, we've been able to connect students with paid hands-on work experience while they're earning their degree. That collaboration doesn't just meet our talent needs, it actually gives the students a real shot at a high-skill, high-wage career without taking on burdensome debt. And so when I think of 80 years of opportunity, I think about the lives impacted, the skills built, and the communities strengthened. Partnerships like ours with the Alamo Colleges ensures that the next 80 years will be even stronger.
Wow, that's something, right? So I know manufacturing is one of our high-wage, high-demand areas of focus, but so is the tech side, cybersecurity, aviation. We have lots of emphasis there. So talk to me about how your partnership with the Alamo Colleges impacts our community.
Sure, and going to that, to the 80 years, you know, the fact that the Alamo Colleges has been in the community that long, being innovative, being nimble, serving industry and serving the people too as well. On our side, on the aerospace side, just 30 years ago, it was announced that Kelly Air Force Base was going to close through the BRAC. And our community came together and rallied together. And it wasn't just to keep the businesses or to keep jobs or workforce, but it was how do we become innovative? How do we privatize all of this? How are our systems, college systems or education systems, going to support that? And so organizations and institutions like Alamo Colleges stepped up very quickly to do that. And that partnership shows in the connectivity to industry, continuing to have those conversations, and being nimble and innovative in the needs of industry as it's changed throughout the decades.
That's very affirming. I think it definitely shows us not that we see the impact every day when we see our students and when we see them walk across the stage, but to hear it from our partners, it just brings some perspective. So I want to move from the past to the future. So let's talk about how each of you plays key roles in shaping our students' journey from the classroom to career. From your perspective, as we work together, what's next? What opportunities should we focus on in the future?
I'll go first. D. Howard Foundation, we really partner with K-12, we partner with post-secondary, we partner with industry to make sure that aerospace is top of mind for students, but that they're aware of what is next, what's beyond next. One of the things with aerospace is we don't know what's beyond next right now. It was mentioned before, cybersecurity, AI, that's all part of aerospace. In 20 years, we're probably going to be taking flights that don't have a pilot. Are we ready for that? Are the students, yeah, is anybody ready for that? We've already got the cars on our streets, right? That we're trusting. Are we ready to go in the air? But that 20 years from now, that doesn't seem, of the 80 years, of all the innovation that has happened in between, we should make sure that we're ready and that our students are ready for that. So the making sure that they're aware of those opportunities, those high demand, high wage roles, is getting to them in middle school like we are through some of our programs, but making sure that they see how that pathway progresses to high school, to Alamo Colleges, to the UTSAs, 40% going from Alamo Colleges to UTSA, but making sure that they see what that journey really looks like, but also that they're not preparing for the technologies of today. A middle schooler, 20 years from now, as they're graduating high school and into their career, or graduating college and into their career, is going to be working on those pilotless planes. So we have to prepare them now for what that career is going to really look like. And that's where the partnership comes in, and making sure that us as representatives of industry are having those conversations with you all regularly too.
I think what I would say is next is a combination of things, is continuing to make sure that we reach every child, that none of them fall through the cracks, and that we are providing opportunities for each and every one of them, and that we're preparing them for the work and the jobs that are to come. Just as you mentioned, there's going to be so many changes that we probably can't predict yet how different the jobs to come are, and making sure that we are having those partnerships with Alamo colleges as we do, so they're ready for that. But I think that I would be remiss if I didn't say that we're taking care of them in the sense of workforce ready, college ready. But one of the things that stands out the most about working with Alamo College, the Alamo colleges, is how we take care of the whole child. At a public school, we take care of them in every situation. We feed them, we dress them at times, we have a clothing closet, a food pantry. But what's been remarkable now is to see that the Alamo colleges is also continuing in that partnership with us. Because as a public school educator, we always worry what's going to happen to them after they graduate, because we've been taking care of them. But I want to thank the Alamo colleges, because you have done a tremendous job in keeping up that component for them. Because when they're worried about how are they going to get clothing, how are they going to eat next, it's hard for them to study. It's hard for them to think, okay, I can truly go to college. But Alamo Colleges has done a great job in doing that. And I think that that's one of the things that's next, in the sense of we have to continue those types of programs in order for our students to be successful.
When I think about what's next, and this kind of drives my staff completely crazy, I talk about the collaboration that we've had with Alamo and how fantastic it's been and how much we've accomplished. But in the light of how quickly our world is changing, and especially the needs of students that are going through not only K through 12 and higher ed, it is going to require us to think even differently about our collaboration. So I call it like extreme collaboration, or how do we level up and really take it to the next level, knowing that the students are facing a completely different world than we work in. And it was already mentioned, AI and really the student journey. What does that look like going forward? And then how do we prepare to help students make that next step? It cannot happen by us just relying on the good work that we've done. It's really going to take much deeper thinking and much more strategic partnerships, and working with all of our colleagues, not only here, but also you all, to really help students navigate this world of higher ed and really prepare for the workforce, which is changing before our eyes. And it's somewhat scary a little bit, but there's also a very big element of excitement and hope and optimism, and we need to bring that to our students and then help them see their future going forward.
Looking ahead, I think there is even more opportunity for us to expose students earlier, whether that's through high school pathways, internships, short-term industry projects, so that those students can really see what's possible and start building those skills sooner. I also feel there's a lot of opportunity for us to build on the work we're already doing, to work together to upskill our incumbent team members. We want to make sure that we have clear pathways for people to go into entry-level positions and then advance into those critical skilled positions that really are the future of manufacturing for my industry, or the future for other industries as well. By doing both, not only are we preparing new talent and advancing our current workforce, but we strengthen our communities and our companies for years to come.
Thank you. Leslie, you touched on this, but as we look ahead to the future, what are some things we need to do to build that pipeline? Are there programs, innovations? What should we be looking at working on together?
So just expanding a little bit on what I was talking about, helping students really think about their entire journey holistically, which is really hard to do, especially if they're very early in their career. So thinking more deeply about pathways, which Leslie just mentioned, and exposing students to the what if I got a career in this, what does that mean? And it almost forces us to kind of reverse engineer, like if you want to do that, then you need to do this while you're at college. And so I think that is kind of the next level thinking, and I'm pretty excited about some of the technology that I'm seeing that is going to help us really advise students in a much more dynamic way and helping them link in their mind what if I'm going to spend my time here at Alamo and then at UTSA or wherever, what is that going to translate to? What is that going to translate to me in my career and future possibilities with employment? And so I think about that, and it. It's a large task. We're asking our staff and our recruiters and all of our advising, everyone who's involved in advising students, but we have to be prepared to be able to be very dynamic and be able to pivot and help students navigate kind of those possibilities, which are really endless.
Chris?
Sure. One of the best things that the colleges can do and we can do as industry is create work-based learning opportunities, experiential learning, because the students need to see what they don't want to do too. They don't need to be exposed to it for the first time when they're applying or looking for the job after they've gone through all the training. So make sure that you're integrating that into the classroom and call on industry to create those opportunities too. They don't have to necessarily be long-term internships or bringing instructors from industry into the classroom. There can be those types of things, but it could be one-off project-based learning, 6 to 8 week programs where they're working on a real-world project, but then get some exposure or job shadows back to industry. But let's make sure that we're remaining creative in that way so that the students know what they don't want to do and are leading towards what they're going to be successful in long-term too as well.
And Dr. Ball, you were a pioneer for Alamo Promise. Thank you so much for that. But also a partner in dual credit, a partner in early college high school. So how can we strengthen relationships in those areas, and what else do you have to offer us?
I think that one of the ways we can strengthen our relationship is starting early. And people always ask, well, what do you mean? I want to start with our parents first, because it starts in pre-K. If parents don't start to emphasize to their child the importance of coming to school on a regular basis, coming to school on time, it just creates a habit. It creates a cycle that when they go work in Toyota, they're going to be late. They're going to miss work. And I don't want that. So it starts with a paradigm shift of educating parents how early it starts in building those habits, in seeing that it's important that they come to school every day, and realizing that an education really does open up doors for their child. And yes, having career days and exploration in elementary is critical. But what I find is even more important is instilling this with parents, so parents can see what opportunities are out there for their child and how they can have such a critical role in helping their child start an early college program, a dual credit program, and the benefits that that has to them as a parent. A child can go into college with already so many credits, so the financial benefit that it has for a parent is critical for them to understand how successful their child could be.
Thank you. And as a pre-K parent, I'm going to set the alarm clock extra early to start that habit now. So this was for Chris and Leslie. What new credentials or experiences or programs do you think would help students as we prepare them for a career?
So to kind of build on what Christopher was talking about earlier, I do think that experiential learning piece is so important to the students. I mean, just looking at the Advanced Manufacturing Technician program that we partner with with St. Philip's and with Palo Alto. That critical piece of 2 days in the classroom, 3 days plant side, getting that experiential learning really accelerates their growth and understanding and that skill building. But I think in order to do that, we need to strengthen the existing relationships with employers and bringing more employers to the table to offer those types of opportunities. And don't be afraid to ask when you need something. I know Christopher and I were recently at an activity with educators and employers, and making sure that we're all on the same page. What does job shadow mean? What does that internship mean? I may have a different definition than others in the audience have. So let us know what you need. Also, our company is very open to having instructors come out as well. We already do that with the AMT program. During the summertime, the instructors come out, they rotate through different employers, companies, so they can get that experience and take that experiential learning for themselves to make it more applicable in the classroom. So I think just build on that relationship with employers. Let us know what you need. Don't be afraid to ask, and making sure that we're on the same page so that we can, as employers, we can better support that experiential learning opportunity.
Yeah, to what Leslie said, an internship to an employer means totally different than an internship to a student, and so that we are defining what that means and what that can be and where the flexibility is. Not necessarily on a credential or degree or anything like that, but I think another layer that industry could help on too, though, is doing externships for educators. So you all the educators are often one of the first influencers of the students. It's parent and then educator, very likely. That's going to lead them into those careers. And if the educators don't know about the opportunities and about the pilotless planes coming in 20 years or whatever it may be, then they don't know how to best instruct the students about what those careers are going to look like. So what we need to do is, there's always the emphasis and focus on the students and making sure that everything is right for them, but we also need to invest in the educators and make sure that they have that continuous career engagement as well.
Thank you. It's exciting to hear what's ahead, especially the pilotless planes, and how much more we can accomplish together. To close out, I'd like to ask each of you to share just one word or a short phrase that captures your vision for the next era of opportunity at Alamo Colleges.
I'll go 2 words. Beyond next. So getting, not just for, this is more than 2 words or 1 word, but
I'll allow it.
Don't give me a mic. Beyond next. So it's not preparing for the next job, but it's preparing for what that career really looks like and what the technologies and innovation is beyond next.
Commitment to growth. To grow the programs that we currently have, and then to grow new and future programs.
This was a hard one, but my word is completion. I worry so much about students who have some college who've lost their way and don't complete, and so, us putting a point on helping students complete is one of my focuses.
And my phrase would be empowered pathways. So I feel very strongly that when we create supported pathways, we're empowering individuals to take control of their futures, their careers, and support the next generation of talent.
Wow, these are wonderful nuggets and mantras for the coming year. I want to thank each of you not only for your time today, but for the continued partnership over our 80 years that has helped each of us and all of our students to succeed. We look forward to another 80 years, hopefully, of partnership with you and your organizations. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you to Christy and our panel. It's truly amazing to think about not just our present, but our future as well. Let's thank our panelists one more time. So next, please help me welcome our keynote speaker, Tucker Bryant. Tucker is an entrepreneur, innovation strategist, and nationally renowned poet. After nurturing his craft at Stanford University, Tucker went on to become a lead product marketing manager at Google, where he discovered the potential of the creative tools poets have relied on for millennia to drive innovation leadership into the corporate world. After a decade in Silicon Valley, Tucker left Google to challenge leaders to unlock creativity, collaboration, and competitive advantage using the poet's keys. His performances, which have garnered millions of views online, have been featured at TEDx, the New York Times, and dozens of other organizations across the globe. He has the privilege of sharing stages alongside Mark Cuban, Bill Belichick, Irvin Magic Johnson, and Mel Robbins, as well as governors and executives from scores of Fortune 500 companies. Welcome, Tucker.
What's up, Alamo? Hey! Y'all look good for 80. Happy birthday. Ready to have a little bit of fun? Yeah. All right, let's do this. So what does it take to lead a transformation? Can we just pay lip service and hide our frustrations? Is it an oversized overcoat we're going to hang at the doors when we leave? Is it a half-empty glass we can just fill with technology? Because as far as I see, this district doesn't thrive without the lives in this room, which means there's something fairly crucial about every one of you. So what does it take to lead a transformation? Alamo, I am so grateful that I get to be here to share with you just a few tools that I believe are going to unlock new possibilities for all of you in your work as leaders of this district. But before we get there, I want to take a step back. We've come here with lots of different backgrounds. We represent unique job functions with their own challenges, but there's one thing every single person in this audience in particular has in common. We are all wondering what a poet is doing speaking to so many people who have jobs. and fair enough, so let's talk about that for a second. I want to tell you a quick story. So years ago, a young man named Robert was making his living as a full-time poet. He's living the artist's lifestyle, the bohemian dream, right? Which in the poetry community is a phrase we use to say he was really broke. And so Robert needs to make a little bit of cash, and one day he's reading a magazine. He spots an ad that says, "Submissions wanted, will pay for poems." And Robert thinks, this is my chance to get myself out of debt. And so Robert, he pens this gorgeous poem on a piece of paper, licks and seals it in an envelope, sends it off to the papers in New York City, and he waits. And a few months later, Robert receives the greatest news of his life. The poem he'd written was selected to be published in the New York Independent magazine, meaning that he was about to walk away with the life-changing sum of $15, which is a lot of money to some poets today, so imagine what this felt like in 1894. Folks, this meant Robert was rich, and so he throws aside his pen and paper. He picks up his earnings, starts spending like nobody's business. He's eating well. He's drinking good. He's not writing at all until one day he notices his small fortune is running a little bit thin. So he says, no problem, I'll just do this again. And so he reverse engineers his last poem. He writes another poem in the same style, sends it off, and he gets his poem published, but this time he gets a few rejections first. He says, that's strange. I mean, this is a damn good poem. But no matter, once again, he throws aside his earnings, he throws aside his pen and paper, picks up his earnings, and starts spending like crazy. He's eating well, drinking good, not writing at all until once again his small fortune starts to run a little thin. So you know where this is going. He writes another poem in the same style, sends it off, but this time, he gets a whole pile of rejections. And this time, nobody wants to publish Robert's poem. And Robert starts to wonder how it could be that a style that so recently served him so well no longer does. So, as you might be starting to guess, this is a story about poetry that's not really about poetry, right? We all eventually realize that even our greatest successes can only deliver us temporary excellence. Because as time passes, our students, our industries, communities, the world changes. So the things that once helped us deliver our greatest impact start to look kind of ordinary. We were just talking about it in this last panel. But as human beings, we get so wrapped up in those past successes that often we turn to the same tactics over and over. Just like Robert, we write the same poem again and again until one day they fail us. And when they do, we panic, right? We search for another little stunt we can pull to give ourselves a hit, that feeling of impact, not realizing that if we only use this creativity, only use this innovation when we're standing on the back foot, we're walking back into the trap that all of us want to escape. See, I'll put it like this. Most of us treat innovation kind of like a fire extinguisher instead of using it to fireproof the house. And as long as we work like this, the things that once helped us stand out and deliver our greatest impact could be the things that cause us to fall behind. And as we stand at the barrel of an artificial intelligence revolution, changes to local policy, changes to funding, there's no better moment than this for us to ask ourselves if a different relationship to creativity might help us serve our students even better. Well, the good news is, I think there is such a way. You see, for Robert, rejection was the perfect reason for him to find new excuses to play with his art. And so he stops writing for money, and he starts just writing. He writes every day with no other goal than to explore the outer boundaries of his craft. He writes beautiful poems and boring poems. He writes wonderful and weird poems, poems with rich metaphors, and poems you might raise your eyebrow to see even in like a third grade classroom. But quality didn't matter, because as Robert was about to discover, when our goals shift from excellence to exploration, we often end up finding both. You see, pretty soon, all of Robert's work began to improve. Soon, his worst poems today are better than his best poems from 5 years ago. Soon, he's got poems in The New Yorker, The Atlantic, the Yale Review. Before the world knew what had hit them, Robert Frost had become the poet so well known that we still read and teach him today. For those of you who aren't English nerds, that's the guy who wrote the poem about the road less traveled. The man who has written such unforgettable lines like, what but design of darkness to appall, if design govern in a thing so small. And if you don't understand what these words mean, that's how you know it's great poetry. Mostly joking about that, to be clear. Robert Frost is very dope. Once again, this is a story about poetry that's not really about poetry. You see, for years, I worked in Silicon Valley by day and I wrote poems by night. And I know those worlds sound a universe apart, but here's the thing. Working in corporate as an artist showed me that whether you're a poet or a professional, we have a literally existential need to think of ways to consistently reinvent our crafts. And over the last 10 years, I've identified a number of ways that poets put these practices into action to make creativity a daily habit and a daily practice instead of waiting for things to break before we innovate on them. And so as we kick off this academic year, I'd like to invite you to consider how you might use 3 of the poet's keys to unlock the ink you'll use to make your mark on the future of the students of this district as well as the district itself. And to kick us off, as all poets know well, sometimes the first thing we have to do to move our craft forward is to write by erasing. So let me explain what I mean by this. Gonna get personal for just a second. In addition to being a poet, I am also a recovering opiate addict. Don't look sad. Best years of my life. I still had a job, a relationship, a roof over my head. This stuff made me feel invincible at seemingly no cost. But one year, I have a work trip booked, pretty far into the future, but outside of the country. And so I knew that drug addiction was something I had stumbled into, but drug smuggling was where my mom would probably draw the line, so I figured I should probably attempt to quit. And so I enlist the help of an addiction specialist, a counselor, who helped coach me through that process. Her name was Anshu, and she was incredible. And after coaching me through a series of failed quits that were quickly followed by relapses, during one of our sessions, she kind of throws up her hands and goes, "You know what, Tucker? The fact that you keep choosing to come back to this stuff tells me you've got to feel like it's doing a lot for you. So let's explore that. Before our next session together, I want you to take some time to think through what about this drug is so great that you keep choosing to come back to it. And so I go away and I complete the questionable homework of writing out all the reasons why my addiction is awesome. And during my next session with this counselor, I read it to her. And when I do, she smiles. Familiar, because they feel safe. Because when we stop making that distinction, we are no longer in control of our craft. And so there's a style of poetry called erasure poetry, in which the poet doesn't actually write a single original word of their own. Instead, they take an existing text and they create something new by simply removing words from that text. In other words, the poet writes by erasing. And when we do this, we not only uncover an opportunity to look at our work through fresh eyes, we more importantly have an opportunity to make room for something even better. And so, I'd like to read you the letter that I wrote to Anshu when she asked me what was so great about Oxy that I kept choosing to come back to it. But then I'd also like to read you an erasure poem, inspired by her question of which of those reasons might have been stories that I was just holding on to. Dear Anshu, I've become grateful for the absence of discomfort. This stuff takes the sound of an anxious heartbeat and puts it on mute. It's an escape from loneliness through a cozy little hole I can burrow into all by myself, and I can't stop digging this feeling. I like to think these pills look like little blue moons because they eclipse whatever you were trying to soothe. They dull the pain and everything else I no longer want to feel, and they feel like the shimmer of my nephew's laughter, the promise in my father's hugs, or being told the words, "I love you." Some days I think I'd give anything for my life to be like this forever. Other days, I know I already have everything I need without it, but there's something magical about walking the earth with my feet in the ground, but my worries and self-doubt a planet away on a little blue moon where I'm never really alive to the harshness of the world, but feeling so superhuman, I wonder if I'm crazy for wishing all humans could feel like this at all times. Dear Anshu, I have become absence, the sound of a heartbeat on mute. I escape loneliness through a hole in myself, and I can't stop digging. These little blue moons eclipse whatever you are. They dull everything. I no longer feel the shimmer of my nephew's laughter, the promise in my father's hugs, the words, "I love you." Some days I think I'd give my life to this. Others, I know I already have. But there's something about walking, feet in the ground, but my self a planet away on a little blue moon where I'm never really alive, but feeling so superhuman, I wonder if I'm human at all. Familiarity is a universal addiction that tricks us into feeling safe. It stops us realizing how much we lose when we hold on to the things we know best. All it took was being challenged to let go of one thing for me to realize that just because something feels familiar doesn't mean it's worth holding on to. That sometimes deletion is the greatest act of creation we have. Sometimes erasure is the only way to clear a pathway forward. It's been 4 years since Anshu inspired this poem, and I can't lie about how grateful I am to share that it's been 4 years since I last touched a pill of Oxy. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. You know, I was invited here to talk about how poetic thinking can lead to creativity and innovation. But what if creativity isn't just about doing more things faster and better? What if creativity is about creating space in between all the work you were already doing? Space that makes room for a new idea, a new perspective, or a new solution to your challenges. Like Alamo, what can you write by erasing? What's one thing you held onto for so long in your work or your life you might have forgotten to ask yourself if you might be able to move forward without it? I don't care if it's a recycled syllabus, a technology tool you use to manage your teams, or your habit of saying yes when you're already burnt out. There is something in your work that served you at some point, but that will eventually hold you back if you don't consider letting it go. And you know what? I'm talking way too much. I want to make this real for a second. I'm going to ask everyone to turn to the person sitting next to you. I want you to introduce yourselves if you don't yet know each other, and I want you to make a very, very careful decision. I want you to decide which one of you is going to be the party planner and which one of you is going to be the fashion designer. Best of luck! All right, party planners, where you at? Party planners, hands in the air. Ain't no party like an Alamo party. Hey, ho, party planners. Your best friend, who just so happens to be a fashion designer, has a birthday coming up. And they've decided to enlist your help to decorate the birthday bash. Unfortunately, there is currently a nationwide shortage on balloons. Party planners, your job in the next 30 seconds is to reassure your friend you have a fantastic plan to make this party look incredible by naming as many non-balloon decorations as you can think of. You have 30 seconds, as many ideas as possible. Best of luck! If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. If you can hear me, clap 3 times. If you can hear me, clap 4 times. Fashion designers. Now that your friend has reassured you with a fantastic and resourceful plan, you want to thank them for saving the day by designing them the dopest and freshest outfit anyone has ever seen to wear at your birthday party. Unfortunately, in addition to there currently being a nationwide shortage on balloons, there is also currently a nationwide ban on purchases of clothes. Fashion designers, your job in the next 30 seconds is to name as many non-clothing items or objects you can possibly imagine using to create an outfit. You have 30 seconds, as many ideas as possible. Best of luck! If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. If you can hear me, clap 3 times. If you can hear me, clap 4 times. All right, I know that was more ridiculous role play than you thought you'd have to do with this convocation, so give yourselves a quick round of applause. All right, let's get serious again. That's a really important exercise we just did, and the reason we did that exercise is that it's very funny to watch. But we also did that exercise because when we write by erasing, when we force ourselves to let go of something we depend on to complete a certain task, we often end up at unexpected epiphanies. Now, for poets, those epiphanies can look like new language to describe a sunset they see every day, but for you, those epiphanies can look like new ideas you would have never come up with, or an obstacle through a pathway you've been facing for years. You know, my favorite thing about listening to you do that from up here is that towards the beginning of the half minute, you're throwing out these really reasonable ideas, but as you progress, you start reaching for increasingly unconventional stuff you might not have if you could have just filled the whole room with balloons, right? Like, I would put money on the fact that the fashion designers in the room started off saying things like curtains and tablecloths, but I guarantee you that by the end of the half minute, at least 10 people in this room said they plan to dress their best friend in a trash bag, which is diabolical. When we write by erasing, we got one up there, you see? The creative geniuses are in the room. When we write by erasing, we often end up at unexpected epiphanies. And so I know that as we attend sessions like this, the workshop you're going to be doing later on, you're likely to walk away with a laundry list of ideas you want to put into action, and I'm excited to see where that exploration leads you. But my plea is that you keep in mind that in order to actually make room for new ideas in the work that we do, whether it's for you or the students you serve, we often have to first ask ourselves what we're willing to write by erasing. So, to write by erasing is to make room for new ideas in our work, our lives, and our craft. But if actually becoming the kinds of people who pursue new ideas is our plan, we also have to embrace aiming for the trash can. Oh, it didn't show up. That would have been more dramatic if it worked the first time, but you can pretend it went just how I wanted to. Aiming for the trash can. Folks, by quick show of hands, has anyone in this room heard the phrase writer's block before? Okay, cool. Plenty of high school English trauma in the room. For anyone who's not familiar with this phrase, writer's block is what happens when a poet or a writer sits at their desk ready to write, but nothing comes out onto the page. It's what happens when a writer feels blocked, right? Seems simple enough. But here's what most misunderstand about writer's block. Writer's block almost never comes from a lack of ideas, but a fear that the ideas we do have can't succeed. And that's not a condition that's specific to writers at all. If you've ever considered picking up a new hobby, giving honest feedback to someone on your team, or championing a change in policy, but you didn't because you worried about what would happen if it screwed up, you have experienced writer's block in its purest form. Writer's block is not a lack of ideas, it's a fear that our ideas can't succeed. So what can we do about this? Well, in poetry, the best way to overcome perfectionism, which leads to writer's block, is to embrace the exact opposite. And so poets embrace imperfectionism. And now imperfectionism is exactly what it sounds like. It's a word that I just made up. But it's also what we do when instead of aiming for a masterpiece when we pick up our pens, we aim instead for the trash can. Poets aim for the trash can. Poets pull their most ugly, uninspiring ideas out of their heads and put them onto the page. And I know that sounds kind of goofy, but here's the thing. An artist's best work is rarely planned. More often, the artist's best work is discovered, and the way they discover it is by sorting through so much of their own terrible ideas that one day they stumble upon the perfect terrible idea. The idea that's not good right now, but that could be if they stick with and nurture it long enough. So here's the deal. I could talk all day about imperfectionism, aiming for the trash can, but I feel like it's only fair that I at least attempt to show you. So recently, I began working on a new poem. It's a pretty deep, pretty intense, pretty personal poem. And the poem's working title is An Ode to Overripe Bananas. I'm glad you take that as seriously as I do. But while beginning to write this poem, it occurs to me there's no better way to show you how imperfectionism leads to progress than for us to attempt to stumble our way through this poem together. So here's what we're going to do. In my tablet here, I've written down a few questions for lines for this poem, but the questions are as of yet unanswered. And I'm going to ask for your help turning these questions into lines of poetry that will make their way into a draft by shouting out answers to my questions, but aiming for the trash can as you do. Now, as a reminder, aiming for the trash can means our goal is not to sound pretty, it's not to sound poetic, it's not even to make sense. Aiming for the trash can means our one and only goal is to get and keep the pen moving. So for example, when I ask you for one word that describes an overripe banana's texture, you're not going to think, you're going to shout out the first word that comes to mind, which is. I heard a lot of mushy, mushy it is. If I ask you for one word that describes an overripe banana's smell, the first word that comes to mind is. I heard bad, and I heard rotten. I'm going to go with rotten because it's even less flattering. If I ask you for one word that describes an overripe banana's appearance, the first word that comes to mind is brown. Makes perfect sense, yes. And just for fun, if an overripe banana were a person, one word that would describe its personality could be grouchy. So good. Oh my goodness. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for aiming for the trash can and answering these questions. And now it's only fair that I show you what's possible when we aim for the trash can by writing you the best poem you've ever heard using your language. So, we said overripe bananas feel mushy, they smell rotten, they look brown, and if they are people, they'd be grouchy. And I might say, ode to the overripe banana. Praise the skin, mushy like a bowl of oatmeal, and I don't much like oatmeal. Praise the smell, rotten like a thing that has died, and I wish you would put on some deodorant. Praise the peel, brown like dirt or a dirty dish rag, and it doesn't look very nice. Banana, you're grouchy because you're bad. Just a squishy, inedible mess. Banana, you are a loser. Thank you so much. No, don't clap for that! That poem is trash! Even if I try to do the poet's voice, you can still tell the poem sucks, right? That poem is trash, but that's okay, because trash is what we aim for. And the reason we aim for the trash is simple. A bad idea is just a good idea that hasn't found its editor yet. So what can we do with this? Well, let's take a look. We said overripe bananas, they feel mushy, which is like not the most flattering descriptor, but if we use alliteration, we might be able to at least make that line sound better. Next, we said that overripe bananas smell rotten, which again is not the most flattering descriptor. But what if you try to find like the positive associations with that word? Like maybe stuff that has a strong smell is strong itself. We could do something with that. Next, we said overripe bananas look brown, which is true, but they didn't always look brown, right? So what if we told the story of how the banana came to be brown? Lastly, we said overripe bananas, if they're people, they'd be grouchy. Shouts out to whoever said that word. And then I kind of like insulted it. But what if instead of doing that, we found some way to empathize with the reasons for which the banana is grouchy? Well, lonely too? Lonely? Yeah, exactly. Oh, ooh! Find me after, we're gonna make some cash. So let's see, I'm gonna add that lonely descriptor in there too. Okay, if we were to use these words in a different way, what we come up with might still be kind of trash, but I bet it'll be less trash than we started out with. And it might sound something like, ode to the overripe banana. Praise the skin, mushy like a mound of moss on a mountaintop, and much like Mother Nature, softness is your maturation. Praise the smell of banana fumes, so rotten that you reach my nose before I reach for you. But this is just proof that you're so full of life, it fills the whole room. Praise the peel of brown polka dots, brown like chocolate raindrops. Brown is your receipt for a life lived in the sunlight. Banana, you're grouchy Because you spent your life alone. You spent your life untouched in the cabinet for weeks, and yet you still trust us enough to let us appeal your appealing skin and pull back those tough layers. Folks, we may have still found the trash can with a couple of those lines, but in 10 years and 10 edits, when this poem is a New York Times bestseller, we're all going to be sipping mojitos in Costa Rica, so give yourselves a round of applause. A bad idea is just a good idea that hasn't yet found its editor, even if it needs a couple of editors. I want you all experimenting with ideas so fast and so often that you're tossing them out just as quick as you come up with them, because the pile of trash you think you're accumulating will be the place you can find the line you can nurture into your next masterpiece. And so as you're asking yourselves how you might aim for the trash can in your work, or as you're empowering your students, I want to leave you with 3 brief suggestions. First things first, never draft and edit a new idea at the same time. Too often when we or our students or our teams have a new idea, we think it's our job to play compliance officer first, to tell them all the reasons that idea isn't likely to take off. Now we're trying to help when we do this. We're trying to save wasted time, effort, disappointment. But the problem is, if we default to skepticism when we hear a new idea, the next time a new idea comes up, we become that much less likely to actually pursue it, when one of them might be the idea we need to bring about the change we care about. So of course, there's a time to separate good ideas from bad ones. My ask is that you look for the possibility in any new idea before you discard them. Second thing, every once in a while, try the thing that probably won't work. I have no question, especially as we're talking about things like aerospace, cybersecurity, that in 5 years, the ways in which we're empowering students at Alamo is going to look vastly different to the way that it looks right now. But in order to get to that point, it means someone in this room is going to have to try something every once in a while that feels a little outlandish. So every once in a while, try the idea that you don't actually think is likely to work. Lastly, aim to be wrong in the right direction. Too often we think it's a huge risk for us to make these micro mistakes as we're experimenting with new ideas. But the thing is, it's so much more effective for us to make little mistakes and keep moving than for us to wait for the perfect idea to hit us, but only move 1/10 as fast. And so aim to be wrong in the right direction. I said it once, I'll say it one more time. A bad idea is just a good idea that hasn't found its editor. So if discovering your best work really is your plan, forget about the masterpiece. Aim for the trash can. So, we're running close to time here. Just to recap, the best poets write by erasing. The best poets aim for the trash can. But there's one more thing that all poets do if they want to be truly great. And I'm going to ask you to internalize this concept as well, because without this, everything we've talked about so far is essentially worthless. And so this third principle, this is what it takes to be truly great. No, I'm sorry, this is a bad joke. The third and final principle is thinking inside the box. Before we get there, as you can tell, we're moving pretty fast through these concepts because we are short on time. And so if you want to get into any more detail with exercises that you or your students or teams can put into practice to make these real, I'm going to leave this download code up for a couple of minutes while we talk about thinking inside the box. So let me cue it up like this. Sometimes I go to an event and I'll meet someone who learns that I'm a poet. And when they do, they say, oh, that must be nice. And you get to write a few lines, you light some incense, you throw on some Lana Del Rey, you cry a little bit, and boom, you're a poet. But Tucker, I don't get to do things like this. I have a budget or a deadline, or I'm just not senior enough to be creative in my role. They say, I'm just not free to think outside the box. But here's the thing. Thinking outside the box isn't actually what it means to be creative. Because there always is a box. Whether the box is our budgets or our deadlines or policy changes, the box is a reality of every opportunity and every challenge we face. And so just as a poet has to think inside the box to turn a big idea into an idea that fits on a literal piece of paper, there's so much we can gain by coming to see our greatest challenges and constraints not as dead ends to our ideas, but as invitations to find creative ways to navigate them. And so in closing, I want to share just 2 really brief things that we can do or that we can think about when we have constraints that allow us to get more out of thinking inside the box. First things first, the box pushes us to prioritize. When I teach poetry to students, often they get inspired by every which thing they see. You see a pretty tree, you want to put it in a poem. You hear a sad song, you want to put it in a poem. You have a delicious breakfast, you want to put that in a poem. The problem is, when a poem contains a happy line about the autumn leaves, and a sad line about your latest heartbreak, and a line about the satisfying crunch of Honey Nut Cheerios, you've just turned 3 great poems into one confusing and kind of terrible poem. By the same notion, or by the same token, it is so natural for us to have lots of ambitions we want to put into practice in our work that we can't due to restrictions on time, approval chains, etc. But recognizing that those barriers exist doesn't have to mean our ideas are dead on arrival, but rather they're opportunities for us to focus on the most important things. And so, when a student gives me a poem like this, there's something simple that I tell them, which I'm going to tell you as well. If you have those competing priorities, make a grilled cheese sandwich. A grilled cheese, in my house, has 2 ingredients, bread and cheese. And so when a student brings me a poem like the one I just had on screen, I say, ask yourself what the 1 or 2 ideas are that would make everything else in this poem either easier or irrelevant. And so if you find yourself with competing priorities, I encourage you to ask yourself, what is my grilled cheese sandwich? What are the 2 ideas that would make everything else either easier or irrelevant? One more thing here, the box ignites innovation. So I am in an art collective, and recently we held an exhibition on the theme of erosion. Now, I'm a lot of things, y'all. I'm a poet, I'm a Survivor superfan, I'm very bald, I'm 5'8" on a very good day, but I am not a geologist, and so I was not that excited or optimistic about my ability to write a poem on this theme. But that restriction, that constraint, led me to approach the question in a different way. And so I asked, what if instead of writing a poem about erosion, we created a poem that the reader had to erode to read? The result was Ruin to Read. I made a poem and made a cast of that poem and then poured plaster into the cast. That cast was then covered in black spray paint, so the result was this black tablet that had letters coming out of it that could only be read if you were to scrape away at that surface. Over the next week, folks were invited to do exactly that. They were given sanding scrapers and were invited to reveal the poem by scraping it away until the entire poem had been revealed. Now, what was so fun about this project was that folks had lots of interesting reactions to doing this. Some folks said they stopped themselves from scraping because they felt greedy. Other folks apologized for scraping so hard they obscured the words they were trying to reveal. But the poem itself that they were revealing dealt with this very tension. The idea that anything that we engage with risks being ruined by our engagement with it, but that exactly this engagement that deepens our ability to appreciate the thing when it erodes beyond recognition. That concept, that restriction, it led to a poem that wasn't words on a page, but the experience folks had to go through in order to reveal and read them. And so when you find yourself with a restriction on budget or time, I'm going to invite you to find innovation within those restrictions by doing something counterintuitive. Build a box inside your box. If you have a $1,000 budget to do something, ask yourself what you would do if you had $10. If you have 6 weeks to deliver a project, ask yourself what you would do if you had 6 days, because often forcing ourselves into even smaller constraints is where we find creative ways and back doors to deal with our challenges. Now, because we're close to time, I'm going to wrap up here. It is my hope that you're going to write by erasing, that you'll aim for the trash can, and that you'll think inside the box, not just in your work, but in your general lives as well. But right before I go, there is one final thought I want to share with you all, and strangely enough, it's a thought about mice. Yeah, we're ending on a strange note, sorry. You see, the African spiny mouse is a peculiar animal. After thousands of years at the butt end of every joke about the food chain, these rodents developed a rather strange survival strategy. They became tougher by growing thinner skin. You see, with flesh that could rip, like soft tissue paper, these rodents could scurry into any situation knowing if they found themselves on the wrong side of a lion's smile, they could jump out of its jaws and grow the skin back in no time. See, these animals, they fold themselves in the shape of survival because they knew that the alternative to transformation was ceasing to exist at all. So remind me again why we'd ever want to hide behind a shield of this is the way we've always done things. Why we treat habit as a home whose doors are bolted from the outside. Why we let the distance from our pride to the ground scare us into standing still forever, just so our knees never have to scrape the pavement. Fear is a bully, one that so scares us our ideas might come out crooked that instead we let them rot under our tongues. But an imagination can only sit in the attic for so long before it becomes unrecognizable under all that dust. Routine is a window between you and a world waiting to be unraveled if you're only willing to shatter what keeps you safe. But instead, we treat our days like a run-on sentence, never pausing to punctuate them, even though it's our questions that leave the strongest marks. We all wish we could freeze time, but change spills through us like a flood, and even the tightest fists can't hold on to water. I know you are not mice. But there's something we all might learn from an animal so willing to dance with the things that scare us most. We need thinner skin, not brains that protect us from ever getting hurt, but bodies that know we can heal. So the next time curiosity tugs at your sleeve like a kid with spring fever, take them out for ice cream. Go heavy on the sprinkles. When you hear an idea too large to fit in your head, stretch your imagination around it. Call it yoga for the mind. If you don't believe in magic, walk towards your doubts and watch them vanish from head to toe. Drag fear to the poker table and call its every bluff. Lean into the unknown and you'll disrupt the status quo, because empowering creativity is what makes you all Alamo. Thank you so much. Congratulations on happy birthday. Thank you.
Thank you, Tucker, so much for that message. Please give Tucker one more round of applause. Next, it's my honor to welcome our Interim Vice Chancellor for Student Success, Debbie Gaitan, with an important message.
Good morning. It is so great to be in common unity here with our Vista Purple people. I miss y'all all very much. I think of y'all every day, and I'm so excited to see the wonderful things that are happening here at Northwest Vista College. And it's great to be here with all of our Alamo friends and family. It is my honor to be able to be a part of this year's closing of our 2025 commencement. 2025 convocation as we commence into our 2025 fall semester. Wow, that was a fast term. It's super excited to be here with you for the 25 convocation as we commence into our fall of 2025. I was asked to be a part of today's event to be able to also cast a light into the importance of how we give. We give of our time, we give of our talent, we give of our treasures every day. And our Alamo Giving Back is one important way in which we give. It's a little early in the season for us to even be thinking about the Alamo Gives Back campaign. However, as we look at convocation, it is actually the perfect time because it gives us an opportunity to invite one of our best and brightest students to be a part of today's convocation to talk about the importance of giving back. Nicole de la Luz, Nicole of the Light, is one of our students. She is attending San Antonio College. She is pursuing a major in interpretation and sign language, and she has two beautiful children. She has a son and she has a daughter who she speaks about often when she has a chance to talk about being a student here at Alamo. I had an opportunity to get to know Nicole through some of the work that she's done with our Parenting Students initiatives, and she is such a tremendous example of who so many of our students are. As they're coming to college and they're trying to balance their lives with the ambitions and the desire that they have to pursue a college credential, they have to make some tough decisions every day. And so as part of this, I thought that we would have Nicole here to talk with us about the importance of giving. And so my question to Nicole is, and she's had a chance to think about this and she's gonna share her thoughts with us, is why do you think it's important, Nicole, that our friends and family that are here with us today that give every day. They give so much of themselves. They are dedicated to this profession of education, and I know they make sacrifices all the time. Why do you feel, in addition to what they do regularly, that it's important for them to consider giving to the Alamo Gives Back campaign?
I have my answer ready. For me, when you give back through Alamo Gives Back, you're doing more than fulfilling a role. You're investing in a life, in a future, in a student like me. You're lifting up those who carry heavy burdens, the weight of trauma shadows, courtrooms where we've had to fight for our children and our peace, caregiving that never clocks out, and late-night classes held with quiet courage. These are souls who show up every day, weaving strength and grace into every step forward. Your giving becomes rent when we're short. It becomes diapers for our babies. It becomes gas in the car so we can get to school. It becomes Wi-Fi so we can turn in that last-minute paper while our babies sleep nearby. It becomes proof that somebody believes in us, not just because we meet a requirement, but because we matter. So you're not just donating to a fund, you're investing in a possibility, in students juggling work-study hours, unpaid internship, and the not-so-quiet demands of motherhood. But still showing up with backpacks, lunch boxes for our kids, and stubborn hope. In survivors who quietly carry invisible stories and still sit in the front row in class. In lives that weren't supposed to bloom, but did. Because someone at Alamo said, "You're worth it." So yes, your time and talents already change lives. But when you give through Alamo Gives Back, you widen that circle. You tell us, we see you, we believe in you, and we're lifting this weight together. So for students like me, that changes everything.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for those words and for representing so many of our students. And Nicole, would you share with everybody some lasting words as they go into their new semester?
I just hope everyone here feels inspiration to use their creative mind. I loved what this poet was saying, because I'm a little bit of a poet. So if everyone feels creative to be themselves and see what we can do this year.
Thank you so much, and we encourage each of you to participate in this year's Giving Back. Thank you for everything you do. Have a fabulous fall 2025.